All right, everybody, show's got to start. Coming at you almost live from the Hermitage of North Texas's Liberal Conservative Studies. Woo! I have, this is built on House of Cards. I had to change some stuff up. I apologize. My mother came over and visited, and we were talking, and I kept telling her, I got plenty of time. So anyway, I'm running around with my head cut off, trying to get things done. Okay, come on. I got you. You want to come back up? Okay, here you go. All right, here she comes. There's my Mandy Sue. There you go. Uh-oh, turn up the mic. How is that, Mary? Let me see how that is here. Typing in now. All right, so I think we got everything going here. Maybe not. I don't have any feedback. I don't have any stuff here. Maybe do that. Oh, gosh. Yep, I didn't think that was going to work long. Okay, so there's that. Oh goodness. No, you can't do that. Okay, everybody out. Nope. Kicking out the dogs. All right. Let's see if we do this, Mary. Is that better? I might have to replug in. I unplugged my, don't break the dogs. Yeah, Tell me about it. She's got a big old space, but if she moves around, then she flops over when I do that. Wow. Oh, it is incredibly hot in here right now. All right. Now I'm discombobulated. How about the volume now? Is that better? Okay, it's better. So I am your underground professor, and tonight's show is a long way back. I just decided the title of the part where we're going to do with Agador, the unpleasant blind guy in the second hour. I'm wearing my cowboy shirt because I don't want to get another one dirty today. I was so excited. I was thinking we may actually see a blowout, and then in Texas have a controversy over quarterbacks because the Cowboys were doing so great the first quarter, even the first half. But my goodness, it's like they didn't come back from the locker room after the second half. It was just devastating, terrible football, and so we got a loss. That's okay. That's the way that goes. But I didn't expect much, and then the way they opened it, my expectations went crazy. So I did not listen to WNJC Saturday. I didn't even think about it, to tell you the truth. Since normally I hear it by calling in. I can't listen to the radio show on the phone, can I? I don't know how, anyway, if it's possible. Mary says they played the first half of my show. They didn't play the half with Ken in it? That doesn't make any sense. Ken's the one who sends it to him, so I don't know why that would happen. Well, that gives me the sadness. They should have Ken and I in there. That wasn't that bad a segment. Well, there you go. So anyway, Agador will call in at the beginning of the next hour. There was a few glitches there. Maybe they just didn't want to air that segment. I figured they would just cut it out and then put a commercial or something in. But, oh well. At least they had something to play. I think Ken and I, what we need to do is just get together and do a whole bunch of shows and pre-record them and send them over to them so that they can do that. Problem is getting time, especially time for me. And speaking of time, don't forget, no show tomorrow or Tuesday because I'm going to go with my parents out to eat and see them and everything. I didn't get to see them much, and now I found out that their schedule is so busy, it's the only time I'll be able to see them because they're leaving. They're here for a month, it turns out. I thought they were only here for a week. But every weekend they're gone somewhere else to College Station to see my nephew who's in college, and they're going to go down to a F-105 pilots reunion down in Austin, San Antonio rather, and I shall give them hugs. And my mother just left, and she got to meet 3 new dogs that she didn't even know were in the house, and was surprised. Hey, Bigfoot. And she fell absolutely in love with Mandy Sue, as I knew she would. And she's already talking about how she would love to take her and put her in their motor coach and drive them around. But, if they have to go on a trip like down here or somewhere, they can't take them. But that would be kind of fun. I don't know if I could give up Mandy Sue because I had bonded so much with her. And I don't know if I could live without her now. But, I'm only a foster parent until they find a permanent home. I just never figured that there would ever be a permanent home for a blind pug. It was amazing. My mom was amazed at how loving this dog is, considering that she's never been loved in her life until she got here. And it's Holger Awakens. I didn't think Holger was going to make it because he was evidently up there in Minnesota. They're having a Barry Manilow concert, one of these like Woodstock things, all Barry Manilow songs. So I didn't know if he could tear himself away, but he did. So welcome. Welcome to that. So no radio show Monday or Tuesday night. Wednesday, Bible study. I'm going to be doing that on Periscope for those of you watching that and want to continue. And I bet 200 of you do, so thank you so much. Spread the word. It's the best priced Bible study you can find. It's free, and it's pretty good. I love my priest. He is funny, and he's like me with the revolution. He has all this stuff in his head. It's just incredible. And Father Pigeon is French, which is, of course, a strike against him. But I like to call him Daryl Pigeon. But Father Pigeon has an amazing wife who is just so talented. They are a dynamic team. And we're instructors at my private school. And so he taught her religion and stuff there. And I think I just I heard Holger's feelings. And hey, Holger, don't be embarrassed, okay, buddy? Wear it with pride. Wear it with pride. And so anyway, there is that. What else do we have? Tonight. Okay, I don't know what time it is everywhere in the world that's listening to this, but it is 18:11 hours in Fort Worth, Texas, where the home of the Hermitage is. And there is a blood moon tonight, a lunar eclipse too. Now, this is incredible. You see, the moon is at its closest to the Earth, which makes it huge. But there's also an eclipse because the Earth will go in between the sun and the moon or something like that. Or one of them goes through something there. So pray for a clear sky because this is amazing. Now, I think there's one like in the 80s or 90s. The next one's not till 2033. And I'm hoping to be around for that one. But the blood moon will be out there. Now, this is interesting because Utah, I have some people from UGP Radio Utah chapter in the Periscope, and the Mormon Church had to get involved with the blood moon tonight, this big moon, because a Mormon, Utah, right, the Mormon connection. So there's the connection. Evidently, this lady got in an accident and died. And while she was out and being operated on whatever, she had an out-of-body experience, went to heaven where they showed her apocalyptical visions and asked her to read them. And she posted on her personal website or her book's website or whatever it is she has that the time was right. It's now. And so she has to let everybody know that it is the beginning of the apocalypse with this moon. That's one. And that's, anyway, so the Mormon Church had to come out and say this was just her personal opinion, and they encouraged people to prep and to get food and stuff and store it, medical supplies, etc., and to live their life like that in case they lose their job or they get hurt or the world falls apart. But that they are not teaching that this moon has anything to do with the coming end of the world. And this is just what Mormons do on Monday. And, well, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. And it's just being Mormon is all. But she is claiming it's the beginning of the apocalypse, and she's a Mormon, and she's trying to tie it to that. And the church is saying this is not church doctrine or teaching. And they had to contact the Yankee press and let them know that this was not right. And of course, the Mormons don't call Americans English like the Mennonites and stuff do. It's been crazy here. Let me tell you, Amish. That's another word I was wanting. It's been just insane here. I apologize. I got teriyaki sauce. That's right, and I'm not afraid to use it. So what do you call an eclipse when Obama's head gets between the people and the Constitution? Yeah. Yes, well, a dermocolompus. Yes, Hold Your Awakens. It he's got a show coming up here pretty soon too, doesn't he? Because it's October, so the first of October, somewhere around in there, he'll have another show. He's got a blog thing here, but I just clicked on it, and I don't see anything. It just says bring it. The legend, bring it. What am I looking at, Holger? Besides your web thing, there's like nothing in it. What happened to all your writing? It just says bring it on here. Links to post, but I don't see any post. Huh. And so, Ann's here from Southern Sins Radio, the Tsarina. Hold Your Awakens. Billy, our favorite guest, 1270, and the Bigfoot is here. And let's see what else. Oh, goodness, where did I put that? I don't think I saved that. Oh, well, maybe I have it somewhere. I don't know. No, that's not it. Let me see here. I've got something I can do if I can find it. No, that's not it. And I can get rid of that. Here it is. Here it is. Let me see. Yeah. Hold on a second.
Saved a young child lost in the vast wilderness and raised that child until he grew up to be Wild Boy.
My microphone has been cantankerous today. Well, I tried to play the Bigfoot and Wild Boy intro, but it didn't pop out. So that something is not playing here right. I don't know, the noise. Something is weird in my ears here. I'm here after watching the Patriots drop a fitty burger on the Jags. Well, there you go. The Jaguars. So I guess the Patriots won. Yeah, I'm assuming. So, well, I don't know what's going on here. It's probably me, Holger. I'm on Chrome instead of Safari. I've got a big picture that says, one day ISIS will run into the wrong Christians. Amen to that. I don't see any writing on that page, though, to read. Maybe that's just the picture. That's all you're sending to me. Is that right? And, that could be. So, Hope's here, too. All right, Hope's in my heart is here. So, okay, so let me see. Where are we? I've done the things on the shows, so we'll be back on air Thursday. Yeah, the picture is great, though. I think I like that. I'll have to see if I can steal it. And so we'll be back Thursday on air. Wednesday, periscoping the Bible study, and Monday and Tuesday I'm taking off to spend some quality time with my family that I haven't been able to do in a long time. And so there you go. You ever wonder about the term crocodile tears? You know, my daughters were great at that. They could cry crocodile tears you would not believe. It's just like flip the switch, they came. Now, today, when we say someone's shedding crocodile tears, it's like that. Remember that video of Bill Clinton coming out of a funeral? And he looks up and sees the camera, and within one step, a tear rolls down his face, and he becomes very sad. Instead of laughing at the joke, now he's sad, looking somber, reflective, you know, putting on the show and how great that was. So today, we think of crocodile tears as a way of gaining sympathy by shedding false tears, right? It actually was a term that came out of medieval Europe. And it was thought, the science was settled at the time, that crocodiles would actually cry tears of sadness when they killed prey and consumed it. And they thought that was very honorable, that the crocodile killed it, but realized that this was, you know, a death, and that death should be mourned. And so even though it was killing to eat and survive, it nonetheless was saddened by the necessity of that. And this is something that carries over into Indian culture in America. The Indians and stuff would say a prayer before they killed something, and if they killed it to eat it, they would say a prayer while eating it, a prayer for thanks of this animal sacrifice to their life. And so Pats over Jags is a fitty burger. Okay. I trust you, Ag. I probably don't. 51-17. So they did go, wow, over 50. Wow. I've not seen a game like that in a while. So anyway, I like that. I think that's kind of cool. That's part of the, one of the things we do on the show. Every show, I try to give you a little bit of trivia about a word or a phraseology that we do. And we were teaching Japanese for a while. I kind of just got out of the habit because we've been so busy doing stuff, I forgot. But I think we should get back into that. And so the first word that we'll do, getting back into it, is to teach you the Japanese word for Japan. Yeah. Because that's not what they call it. They call it Nippon. And they call it Nippon, Nihongo. So there you go. And that's where we get the word nippers and Nipponese. And, those were derogatory terms, but Nipponese isn't, because it's what, like a Jap comes from Japanese, and Nip and Nipponese, Nip comes from Nipponese. And Nipponese are people from Nippon. So it's not actually a derogatory word. It gets turned into one, but it's there. Is my audio still cutting out? Let me reset this again. Yeah. Okay. Set, push, and try. Now, I knocked out the cable, and the cable is loose. It's moving around in the jack. So I actually think it's not my cable, but my jack that needs a problem. I might just have to go and buy me a new microphone, or find a way to keep that in there. Because when I'm talking on this, it sounds like it's broken up to me and staticky. And oh yeah, that reminds me. Move the type of oscillation in the microphone there, the way it's picking up, and going back to all four speakers in there to hear. You're listening to UGP Radio on Sunday. The long road back we'll do in the second hour at the door. Now, there's been a lot of things going on this last week politically. There's something that has actually happened that I think is good, and that is that the Republicans have banded together and did whatever it was that they had to do procedurally to slow down a new vote for Speaker. Now, they were trying to rush it. The establishment was trying to rush the vote so that they could try and railroad in a new rhinocrat as Speaker of the House, like McCarthy, which is really getting the hard press. Have you noticed how much the media and Fox News and everybody are talking about McCarthy? He's everywhere all of a sudden. And the left media loves him. Oh, my goodness, they like him. They're talking about what a good speaker he'll be and whatnot. So you can kiss my tush. It would be nothing short of continuing John Boehner's travesty. He is trained by Boehner. He's a clone of Boehner. And I don't see why we would expect anything significantly different from him. It would be a promotion of progressive politics. He is a progressive Republican and would be at home at either party, but chose a Republican party. So the Republicans have come together to stall it, to slow the vote down so that they have time to organize and have some people step forward to throw their hat in the ring and to figure this out and learn who would be a better speaker the next go around. So I like that. And that shows some responsibility by the Republican Party for a change. Not the whole party, mind you. I'm just giving them generalized credit. But for the saner, more adult heads in the party, that's good news for the rest of us. And of course, Trump is still trumping along, isn't he? He doesn't seem to be slowing down too much significantly. The Carly Fiorina story that I've been explaining to you guys of why I don't support her and why she's a rhinocrat and how the establishment has put her in as a bookend with Jeb Bush to bring down Trump. And they're not even worrying about cruising those guys until after they knock Trump down. And then it will be, the laser-like focus of the progressives in the Republican Party be aimed at Ted Cruz next or whoever. And you can see a little bit of that because now Birthergate, now that it's come out that Hillary Clinton started Birthergate to try and sabotage Obama in their first election against one another. And part of the animosity of why the president and her did not get along and they're sabotaging each other. And perhaps why Obama's administration leaked all those emails out of Hillary's. Turns out that Hillary is getting in some trouble. Do you remember how tight-mouthed the Democrats were when Bill Clinton was in president? I mean, you just didn't have these exposés and disgruntled employees writing books and movies and stuff after him. The Clintons had an amazing loyalty. And part of it might be because so many people ended up committing suicide in Fort Marcy Park, they were, quite frankly, afraid to ever speak out. But they are not afraid to do so with Hillary. And it's come out that she is so angry at Obama and frustrated with the Democrat Party and the way she's getting treated that she has been destroying objects in her office. She had picked up a cup and broke it, and now there's no concise report whether the cup was half filled or not, or half empty. But she broke the cup, throwing it across the room. She's broken all kinds of crap in her office, cleaned off her desk with the sweep of an arm in anger over something that Obama has done, and has been yelling at Obama and his administration to call off their attack dogs. I guess I'm still having problems with audio in Blog Talk Radio. Let me see here. Does this sound any better? How about that? Test. Let me know, guys, what's better. I've adjusted some adjustments on there. But keep it up in the chat room. Keep telling me if there's any problems or not. Periscope audio, I assume, is as crystal as it usually is. I'm on the affinity now setting here on my mic. And so we'll have to see how that goes. Yes, there is a power shift. Agador, you're right. There is a power shift in the Republican Party, or the Democrat Party. And the Clintons are losing it. They're not favored anymore, and they're not being protected anymore like they used to be. And they're being allowed to hang out and dry. And, that's the way that goes. Yes, Kennedy did, in fact, endorse Obama. And that showed that the Kennedy wing of the Democrat Party was not favorable towards the Clinton wing. And Holder says, my Periscope audio is great, super. And, yeah, I don't know what else to do about the audio. This is probably a Blog Talk thing then, because unless it's my microphone. I may just have to break down and buy another mic. I don't want to because they're not cheap. But maybe I can take it in and see if Guitar Center or somebody can do something with the jack, and if it's a connection thing. But I would think that everything is okay. All my cables are brand new and gold plated. I went and bought the best I could get for that. But so I think there are some very interesting dynamics. Now, there's something else that had come up with Carly that I just wanted to pass on. I don't remember what it was now. It was something. Something. Let me see here if I can click on this. Give me just a second. Flip over here, push that button, glasses, and maybe I have it here. Okay, well, before I get to Carly, I do have it. This is from Breitbart. Republicans gather enough votes for special conference to slow down speaker election. And the Republicans, House of Representatives banded together to ensure a cooperative debate on strategy and party disagreements before House GOP conference chairwoman, Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, Republican of Washington, can try to help the majority leader, Representative Kevin McCarthy, Republican California, to take Jane Boner's Republican Ohio seat that will be vacated in a month. And instead, we're forcing a special extended conference meeting that can now happen without McMorris Rogers' approval. See, now they were trying to railroad this. I told you there was a fix in there, and there were some pre-done deals and stuff that concerned me. And sure what they were, but my instincts were that this is in fact what's happening. So 50 GOP members signed Roskam's letter from Illinois. He's a Republican from Illinois, Peter Roskam. And he came together and he circulated a letter to his colleagues. 50 of them at least signed it. That's the last number that they have here for us calling for a special conference meeting. He says, in one Saturday, we've secured enough signers to ensure an extended special conference devoted to discussing the Speaker's retirement and the best strategy. I think it's actually retreat, not retirement, to heal the divisions within our Republic, Roskam says. And this is an important chance for all members of the conference to give candid feedback about the conflicts that have prevented us from performing at the levels we're capable of. The rule requires such a special conference meeting to be held as soon as practical, which is an extremely important opportunity to reflect before we rush headlong into leadership elections. It's clear our members believe that we need a plan, not a person, to heal the fractures within our majority. And I'm glad we'll now have a chance for an open dialogue that will help us start to unify behind the conservative solutions the American people believe and deserve. That's Peter Roskam, Republican of Illinois. I'm starting to like me some Peter Roskam. I've never heard of him. And coming from Illinois, I wouldn't have thought he would be anything but an establishment Republican. So this is refreshing. And, of course, Boehner will be out on October 30th, getting rid of him on Halloween. And the Freedom Caucus in the House Freedom Caucus, is trying to ensure that the new Speaker adopts the reforms that move Congress into the right direction. Okay? And so what we're saying is that they actually follow the Republican platform and that they actually start listening to you and me out here, and what you and me, you and I, whatever, out here. And because there's a lot of us that are feeling like the Republican Party is just simply ignoring us and not paying attention. Now, I'm being told by a past president of the Conservative Republicans Club from Hillsdale College that they had Roskam as a guest speaker once. What did you think of him? Good? Sound conservative or flaky progressive? President, Madam President, what did you think of him? It was a good speech. There you go. Okay, so those of you who may not remember, it was a few years ago, she says, my daughter graduated from Hillsdale College, and my son, our son-in-law, graduated from Hillsdale College, and they, in their freshman year, led a coup against the college Republicans that was on campus because it was a progressive establishment type situation. And they led a coup, rewrote the bylaws, and then eventually became president and whatnot, treasurer or something like that. I can't remember what my son-in-law's title was. I didn't pay much attention to him back then because he was just another young man in college seeking the affections of my daughter. So I didn't really bother to learn his name. Little did I know that I should have started then, because I still can't really spell it. But I'm trying. And so anyway, they led a coup. And he wrote a new constitution and was chairman of the board of the trustees, I'm being told. Yes, right. I remember it was something important. So my son-in-law was the one who actually wrote the new constitution. And they led a coup and reconservatized the college Republicans at Hillsdale. You wouldn't think Hillsdale College would need that, but yes, they did. And they did a masterful job, and I'm so proud of it. I'm just doing a little bragging right now that my son and daughter taught them everything they know. So I think this is good. Now, the caucus's decision to block vote for a speaker candidate is important, because normally they would just allow the next person in line to grab the job, right? That's how we got Boehner in there, in fact. Kind of way the normal House business, right? This is significant, people. This is historical in what's been unprecedented setting, if you will. And it's good news, because I had, as I expressed on Friday, quite a big fear of McCarthy being railroaded into the position, and hoping that we'll find some way to not do it. Little did I know that that's exactly what's going on, and Roscoe and those guys did that. And so that's good, and that we got a good block of 50 conservative MPs. Now, you know what this means? This means that now that they're no longer afraid of Boehner and whatever it was Boehner had over them, whether it was committee assignments or fundraising or naked pictures with Anthony Weiner, I don't know. But they were afraid of him. And only Ted Cruz would really, well, not Ted Cruz, I'm sorry, he was senator. Who was it? Louis Gohmert and the other one that I always forget. There was only 2 or 3 that actually stood up consistently and vociferously and publicly against Boehner. The rest, if they did it, it was more McGuire. That's one. And so McGuire. What did I misspoke? No, Roskin. And McGuire also. Okay, good. Thank Holger. Holger's reminded me of McGuire too. And so it's good to see that now that they're not afraid of Boehner, they're actually doing something. And they're coming together. I mean, this is 50 of them, boom, right off the bat. No, and we're not going to let the next guy in, because guess what, people? If McCarthy gets in, then the same tactics, the same stresses, and the same punishments, et cetera, et al. Ad nauseum, will be applied to conservatives again, constitutionalists again, and they'll get nothing done again. And so there is a incentive for these guys to block another establishment rhinocrat from getting the position of speaker, because then they'll just have to kowtow to him and be his slave, and not the servant of the American people and the servant of the people of their districts that sent them there. And when you have a speaker like that, and I don't care if he's a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care if it's LBJ or Nancy Pelosi or Boehner. When you have a speaker that does things like this, and people are trying to get Newt Gingrich wrapped in there. Man, Newt Gingrich had a tight White House, but he didn't do, or White House, or Capitol, but he didn't do it the same way these guys are doing it. He used the officers, not the black power. Not that I'm aware. If he did, then they got, I just don't remember. And I'm willing to be wrong on that, but I'm just saying that whatever party does it, what they're doing is they're preventing the person you elected or was elected by your fellow citizens of your district that you live in, whether it's your candidate of choice or not, or your party or not. That person represents you in Congress. And they cannot represent you if they are a servant, a vassal to the Speaker of the House and his cabal. That won't work. I don't want that anymore now, in the future, with conservatives doing it. And there's a likelihood that that could happen, because that may have to be what happens in order to get things done past the rhinocrats, so that we can actually take the fight to the Democrats and protect and defend our Constitution that way and reestablish it. Daniel Webster, Republican of Florida, You remember him? He almost beat Boehner at the beginning of the cycle here, for this Congress. He's running against McCarthy. And I kind of liked Webster from then. I don't know what he's done since. And quite frankly, I don't think I've even heard his name mentioned once about that since. But that's something. Louis Gohmert, McGuire. There's another one that I keep forgetting. I think it begins with a G too. And Webster. These are guys that would be, I think, good. And Roscoe. Let me throw in Rossi, Trey Gowdy. Thank you, name's Irina. Does Irina come through yet again? And Trey Gowdy, and I think I'll throw in Peter Roscoe now. Now, I'm only doing that based on the fact that he's taken the step to stop the establishment rhinocrats from railroading us. And I know nothing about him more than that. But anyway, think about it and keep things in perspective. I saw Ag tweeted me something. I was going to say, you know what kind of fun the left will have with a name? Yes, that's exactly right, Agador. If McCarthy got it, we would be hearing all the time about McCarthyism, wouldn't we? Oh, the Republicans are back to McCarthyism again. Can't let anything happen. Okay, so there we go. I can get rid of that. I want to get into that later. 17. Oh my gosh, time is flying by. Where is it? I've got it here. What was the other story I was talking about? Oh, about Carly Fiorina. There should be a story up here about her, but I don't have her in my sites. I can't see it. So I don't know where I've done with it. But Carly Fiorina was back in the news again. She was in the news, as I said on Friday. I think I told you about the fact that she made fun of other politicians' haircuts, kind of a catty female fighting thing. Hey, you think? And so she was doing exactly to other members of the House that she, settle down, that she complained about Trump doing to her. And so, you know what? You don't run for president and hide behind your skirts, madam. If you dish it, then you better be able to take it. And if you can't handle being called ugly or a cow or whatever it is Trump calls you, then how are you going to handle the Muslims and deal with Putin and those guys? I mean, she sounds tough, but then she sits there and plays the defenseless girl, save me, I'm a girl. I need, people to defend my honor stuff. I don't get it. Now, I know it's not easy for a woman in politics or in a man's world, etc. I get all that, the wayward view. But you know what? Guess what? A woman running for president has an easier time convincing men to vote for her than she does convincing women to vote for her. The whole queen bee syndrome. Look what happened to Sarah Palin and the way women in the Republican Party, and I mean rank and file women, just tore her up. They were not happy with her. And it wasn't because of anything policy-wise. It was because she was a female. And they didn't like it because she was a female. And the cat claws came out. And so Carly is on there again today. The stage collapsed underneath her. Well, that might be time for a diet, huh? Stage collapses around Carly Fiorina. And I think Holger just sent this to me. Let's see. Part of the stage collapse Sunday. Presidential candidate Carly Fiorina down here in Texas, in San Antonio. I didn't even know she was here. I would have paid attention. The backdrop of the stage fell around her as she spoke to the National Association of Women Business Owners. Now, you see right there, I think as a private organization, that's fine, but I think it's discriminatory. If we're supposed to be living in a day and age where we're not supposed to notice people because of their sex or their skin color or anything else, then why do we have organizations that focus on just that? We shouldn't pass a law that says, you know what, the 14th Amendment says you can't do that. If we can force a baker to make a cake for transgendered married people getting married, then we should be able to stop organizations that focus on only women, blacks, or whites, or whatever. And just so you know what, how about we establish a national association of business people and let you help promote businesses instead of just women businesses. That irks me, and it's unconstitutional, and it goes against the spirit of the Constitution as we live our lives today. It appears the drapes and poles fell. Carly was not injured, and so that's that story. That's funny. It can be funny because no one got hurt. So that pic, I was just looking at that pic, Mary. Mary says that pic of her is ugly. Well, guess what? I was looking at that pic and I thought, well, crap, that's what Trump was talking about. That looks like a transgender dude sitting in there. And maybe Carly Fiorina is. Now, there was something else about Carly that I'm not remembering that I found Friday, and that she is involved in. And it's something from her past that she did in another election, and yet she's whining and calling it foul today and stuff. And of course, there's also the part where she's out there championing that the Republicans get off their butts and do something, but she came out and she attacked Ted Cruz for doing just that. So, it's politics coming out of her mouth. It's not policy, and it's not coming out of her mouth stuff that is a way of living, of being. And see, conservatism isn't dogma. It isn't get you. It is, this is how we live our lives with morals and ethics, and we try. We fail because we're in a fallen world, but we try to be better and to do better, and we have standards. And this is why we have standards, unlike the Democrat Party. And our candidates tend to get rid of them, like people like Nixon, instead of keeping them around and re-electing them like Obama. Authorities revealed later that the Fiorina stage collapse was due to Bill Clinton knocking over a brace while he was under the stage trying to look up Fiorina's dress. Yes. Yeah. And I'll let you decide how factual that is. Thank you. Thank you for the on-the-spot news, Holger. That was a flash bulletin. I would not be surprised. I talked about Hillary earlier, throwing stuff. Well, her and Bill Clinton have been getting in arguments. According to an aide that works for Hillary, Bill Clinton told her she was old and ugly and needed a facelift. And and Chelsea Clinton left, or whatever her new name is, I don't know. I can't believe anybody actually married that, but that's fine. She ran out of the room crying. Why can't y'all just get along? And evidently Hillary had some kind of secret surgery that they did. I'm not quite sure. We have a picture of Hillary in her Halloween outfit. I'll try and find it, put it in my hopper for Thursday show. But she's wearing an orange pantsuit with black triangles on the front, making it look like a ginormous jack-o'-lantern. How are you guys liking Bernie Sanders now? Bernie is no longer beating Hillary as easily as he was, but he is doing it. He's giving Hillary fits. Now, Bernie Sanders is a socialist, self-proclaimed. And I tell you, he's a fascist, but he can't claim that. He can't do that. And if you listen to his policies and stuff, they're idiotic. They're economically illiterate and stuff. But, when you're attacking capitalism, I always found this fascinating, that socialists and whatnot, anti-capitalists, attack capitalism as the champion of labor. Now, you don't have capitalism without labor. It's a major component. And the two sides have to work out, a lot of issues between the two of them, but that's what makes the system beautiful. Now, the anti-capitalist would make you think that there's some kind of magic way of having labor without having capitalists and still have success. Now, you can do it, but you should not plan on success. In fact, it's never been successful whenever it's been tried anywhere throughout history, including the very reason we celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday in our country, the end of socialism and communism in our country. That's why we celebrate that holiday. For those of you that have not been longtime listeners, you're in for a treat this Thanksgiving as I lay that out for you. But, be that as it may, there is a 15-year-old kid named Sebastian Burnham down in Austin, Texas. He's a high school senior, and he wants to go to college and become a political scientist like moi so he can teach political science. So, yay, one more communist bastard trying to become a professor in this country to teach everything wrong to your children. Well, this little genius, boy genius, started a super PAC. Now, what is Bernie Sanders' opinion on super PACs? He doesn't like them. He rails against them, and he's even had some of them shut down because he has said, I don't like them. I don't want anything to do with them. And he's had cease and desist orders sent to them. So, you're a little communist bastard. You're going to high school. You think you know everything because your teachers have taught you everything wrong. And you want to help Bernie Sanders. So you help Bernie Sanders, anti-capitalist, by starting up a PAC, a super PAC. Now, this super PAC, I'm trying to find its name, was Burn 2016. And the super PAC, what did it do? Well, it glommed on to the Amazon.com associate program operating well, it violated the Associates Program operating agreement, but it glommed onto the Associates Program where you sell things on there, then you can get somewhere between 4 and 15 or whatever percent for it if someone goes to your page and buys it. So here's what he was doing. He was setting up these items on his store as a capitalist for you to purchase as a consumer, and then the what's the word again? I keep forgetting. Associate program would put money into that page's account, which was to fund the super PAC for the socialist Bernie Sanders. You see all the irony stretched all over that? And but someone caught on to it and turned them into Amazon, and Amazon had them shut it down, sent them a cease and desist order. And Bernie PAC has disavowed the super PAC himself. And this little kid says, though, that I find nothing that Bernie has said that would inspire anyone to believe that our grassroots funding system is somehow unethical or unjustly sabotaging the electoral system. Well, it's violating the rules of Amazon.com. That's what it's being accused of. It's not unethical because that's part of the election laws that are established because of McCain and his mutiny and those stupid campaign laws that he passed. So while it may be unethical as a human being, it's not unethical by election law. So, but and it's not sabotaging the electoral system. What it is it's flying in the face of logic, little man. It is contradicting all your beliefs of socialism and anti-capitalism. And so I find it funny that they can buy this crap, but they don't understand actually its ramifications. The way they live their lives are like you and I. And they think somehow because they can do that, that their crap will magically work and that everybody's just going to sing kumbaya and be happy and everybody get whatever they need and we'll all work. And it's just incredibly stupid. Burnham liked Bernie Sanders because of his work on racial justice. Now, what has white Bernie Sanders done for racial justice in reality? You know, I just don't, when I think of social justice for blacks or Asians or white male Christians and heterosexuals, I don't remember him being out there being our hero and doing anything for us. I know he's passed legislation and helped do a lot of things that cause black kids to lose jobs because he's for minimum wage over and over and over. And that's caused untold amounts of black youths in America not to have jobs. So I guess that's the racial programs that he's referring to. And so anyway, Amazon shut that down. And this kid is so ignorant, he doesn't even understand the irony of what he has done and how it counteracts against the belief systems of the people that he's supporting because of their belief systems. So, how do you save a country when things like this happen? And you have people like this who just don't understand how this works, how the economy works. You know what I mean? Now, students at George Mason University was not overtly liberal. The economics department there is a good economics department. The Walter E. Williams used to be the chair of it. It's a pretty good deal. So students at George Mason University were shown a homemade clock, that clockmaker of Irving, Texas, right? Remember Ahmed Muhammad's clock, quote unquote clock, right? They were shown a lot of these pictures of it and videos. And Dan Joseph from Conservative Media Research Center went to the campus, which is just outside of D.C., and he showed students these photos of this of this clock. And he asked them what they thought they looked like. And he would say this: I'm going to show you this, and you tell me what you think it is. The first thing that pops in your head. And then the results came out. Overwhelmingly, it looks like a bomb. Each student said that. Yeah, it could be like a bomb or something. It looks like a bomb. A bomb? One question. The answer was given by multiple other students who couldn't help but think it looked like a bomb. Only one offered another answer saying it resembled a lie detector. Okay. I don't know what he's been doing, but so there are things all over the country, right? Of people going to their schools, their churches, and showing these pictures and demonstrating. Oh crap! I just got rid of something I did not want to get rid of. Dang, it, Michael. And so this is going on all over the country, and they're being shown these things. You should see what the people in Israel say about that too. They were shown pictures of it, and they all said it looked like a bomb. So evidently, only the teachers in this high school and the Democrats don't see a bomb when they see a bomb, I guess. Does that make sense to you? There are 9-year-old Hunter Fountain. His mom brought 30 homemade copies of, what am I saying here? When 9-year-old Hunter Fountain's mother brought 30 homemade copies to Shaw Elementary School in Cairo, Michigan. It says copies, but I think it means cupcakes. To elementary school in Cairo, is that how you say it? Michigan, Caro. Each was decorated with a 2-inch high toy soldier. You remember those little green toy soldiers we all played with as kids because they were, you could stick them in your mouth and stuff. They were really ugly and very cheaply made, but you could buy crap loads of them and play war and stuff under the kitchen table. Not that I would ever do anything like that. So she brought these 30 cupcakes in. Each one had a little toy soldier on the top, right? And she got a phone call that told her that the toy soldiers on the cupcakes were insensitive. And Principal Susan Wright said that the teeny soldiers were removed from the cake because some families prohibit gun toys. And she added the decision to remove the toy soldiers helped the school's delicate balance in teaching nonviolence in our buildings and trying to ensure a safe, peaceful atmosphere. No comment on how you get a safe and peaceful atmosphere without soldiers. No comment on how this wasn't offensive to soldiers and combat vets like myself. But, what the heck. Mrs. Fountain was unimpressed with the reasoning and said it disgusted me. It's vile. They lump true American heroes with psychopathic killers.
Stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. In part 1 of The Way Back, I outlined the problem. Now, in part 2, I give substantive methods that you and succeeding generations can use to help bring forth a new and stronger republic that will better guarantee liberty to the individual. As I said, we have to deprogram our kids because brainwashing is exactly what is going on in our public schools right now. Now, who can do this? I think that this is a great place for churches to help. Churches already do a fantastic amount of charity, and since they're organized, they can take up this task as well. People can bring their kids to the churches, and they can give them proper education, teaching them respect, but also teaching them that some of the principles that they're being taught in the public schools are just plain wrong, and showing the kids why these are wrong, so that at the other end, we will have kids who understand history, ethics, personal responsibility, and respect. And we will also have kids who will understand that they are growing up in a world that increasingly does not believe what they do. We will have to teach our young how to resist the oncoming tide of socialism in a nonviolent and constructive way. And we can do that. That is possible. Now, in American Sputnik, I expanded on an earlier idea that I had called freedom boxes or liberty boxes. These were materials that I felt a future government might proscribe because they do not agree with what these governments might want. And I included things like the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, that's as of about 2008, the Federalist Papers, Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville, The Road to Serfdom, history school books. This is history school books that were produced before 1975, or history school books that have been properly vetted and do not have leftist content. The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and I'm adding one here, Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings teaches some very nice moral lessons. But what I said in American Sputnik, and what I still say, is if people can gather these materials together, they should be in print, first of all, and they should try and get as many copies as possible. One to save for the future, for a time when the people are going to need to have real blueprints of the kind of government that they can control instead of the other way around, and copies for teaching. Copies for teaching our young. Copies for showing people who have an interest. Because that's what, as Mr. Schlichter puts it, a real insurgency is about in many cases. It's about information. And at this point, the left controls almost all mass media outlets. So, we are going to have to approach the problem from the bottom up. We are going to have basic information and be able to disseminate it in a way that can't be tracked by a future government. And while you can easily track an email, you can't easily track a book that you hand to someone. Now, one thing the lefties have been able to do in furthering their cause, and this ties into education as well, is they've been able to develop songs, poetry, plays, movies, TV, things of that nature that have been entertaining and have furthered their cause. Conservatives have to do the same thing. And yes, I am talking about doing this as a long-term strategy, as part of education, because we have to remember that even though we're discussing deadly serious business here, there has to be a fun aspect to things. People can't be on a conflict footing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If that happens, you're going to go crazy. So, you have to find ways of entertaining people while putting out the message. And notice I said entertain before I said message. That's what the left does, and that's what the right needs to do. Now, this is not easy to do, and the left have far more practice at this than we do. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn, adapt, and do these things ourselves. And that means that, again, this goes back to doing what you can do.
Okay. Yeah, Smokey, hope you're doing well. Hadn't heard you in a long time, man. I know you've been having some health issues, and I've been worried about you. And Prof's over there now trying to do sign language. I don't know ASL, Prof, so, you're going to have to make it simple. Hold up a dog or something. So, Smokey, we got a little time. Tell me what your long range, more or less long range plans are. Your show you're having with Golf Dogs there. Before we get into the soundbite that at least some people got to hear.
Well, I didn't get to hear it, but yeah, we're working on another show. We're going to come back on the air. There's no doubt about it. We'll be back.
Cool. Yeah.
Let me turn off Prof. He's bothering me in the background. This Periscope. Yeah, blabber.
Well, no, I can't even hear his Periscope. That's what's going on my end. I can't even hear him. So Prof, I'm going to try and reload the Periscope page because God knows what happened with that. I'm probably going to just cut off the Skype. Maybe that's what it's doing. There it is. I can actually hear it. And I can actually hear the Prof now. He's on a completely different tangent. So I don't know whether he's on Periscope and we're on BTR or what the hell's going on.
I think he just spent way too much money on equipment, and he never learned how to operate it all at the same time. That's what
she said.
Theory. Yeah, exactly.
Well, pardon me. Dang. Okay. Well, I don't know whether we're on Blog Talk Radio or where we are.
Well, I think we're on Blog Talk. Kel is replying to things you've said in chat. Mary hears us. So everybody in the chat hears us. Just
okay. All right. So
thanks, go ahead, do your show.
Oh, okay. Well, because I can't see into BTR anymore. So yeah. And the Prof sent me a link. Sent me a tweet to talk. Yeah, that's the usual.
Yep.
That's what it did to me the other night when I just happened to be this was the time when I could get into Blog Talk, and I just happened to be there in the studio, and he couldn't do it. He was still at work or something like that, and he turned my mic on and said, go ahead and talk. And that was me for 2 hours. That Mary says I did okay, but oh man, Prof's a hard act to follow though. Anyway, Smokey, what I was talking about, and I can't remember everything in the second part of the Way Back thing that I did. I split the thing into 3 parts because I want it to be as accessible as possible for people. I know Golf Dogs heard it, and everybody else can hear it on Spreaker. Go there to the Unpleasant Blind Guy on Spreaker. You can hear the second part of the Way Back, and I talked about a few concrete things that people can do. To as the Prof said, be a cultural prepper. And I kind of like that actually. Now in part 3, I give some more details, so I'm not gonna get all up into everything. Smokey, but I'll throw a few things at you, and you can tell me what you think about them, because I think you did hear the show when I did it a couple of years ago, did you not?
I think so. I did. I do believe I do remember some of this.
Okay. Well, what I was talking about was gathering together information, the foundation of what the American culture is, what individual liberty, promotion, bringing that together and doing two things with it. Having copies to teach with, and then having copies to save on the download, because I believe then and I believe now that we're gonna, that governments are going to become so repressive that they're going to start banning stuff like the Constitution. Now, I'm not saying that it's all over or anything like that. We have to do what we can while we can. But I'm saying, do these things just in case. I don't know, if you want to give me some observations, Smokey, how repressive you think this government's gotten, even over the past 2 years.
Well, I was watching, which I was crazy. I was watching C-SPAN earlier, and this lawyer from, I guess he's from Harvard. He's running for the Democratic nomination, and this guy says we need to do away with the democracy. I mean, there's his first problem right there, calling us a democracy when we're a republic. But
there you go. Yeah.
But that's in their heads. They want to do away with all democracy. They says it doesn't work anymore. It's time to get rid of it. I mean, that right there tells me we need to prepare for all-out war. If we're going to keep any kind of form of this republic at all, we need to prepare for it.
Oh yeah, well, but hadn't that really, you've heard enough of RZ's programs where he's discussed this. He and the panel have discussed this at length. That's really what progressives all throughout our country's history, and this goes all the way back pretty much to the start, have been trying to do. They've been trying to remove any kind of personal power from people because they've never believed in it. They've always believed in a ruling class. It doesn't matter. You can call it royalty. You can call it commissars and party members. You can call it whatever you want. What it amounts to is a rich, privileged ruling class, and everybody else are a bunch of serfs. And I don't know. I don't know if it's your observation, but it seems to be mine that is what they've been working towards all this time. You've got people now, young people, who will tell you straight up that they think that there is a group of people that should just be running everything because they're quote unquote smarter. They've been to college, they've been through the system. They're supposedly educated, and they just know better than we do. And by God, we ought to just do what they want, and be glad that they're there to supposedly serve us. Although, and I'll give you a great example. Although that a good example of that is that some of the ones that are involved in the global warming movement will travel to far-flung countries in jets that burn fuel in gallons per mile instead of miles per gallon. And they'll be staying in these lush, well air-conditioned hotels and stuff like that, and they'll tell everybody else they need to take 7-minute showers and ride a bicycle. I mean, the question I always had about this, Smokey, and this does relate to what I'm talking about here, because it relates to a ruling class that could well suppress even the knowledge that anyone ever got a republic together. One of the things that gets me that I ask now about these global warming conferences is, okay, if they're in the same country, why aren't they riding bicycles to those? And if they're in a foreign country, why aren't they taking sailing ships? I mean, ships will still run by sail. The wind is still blowing. So what do you think of that? You with me, Smokey? Oh boy. Okay, I don't even know if I'm on Blog Talk now. Just a moment, folks. What I was speaking to Smokey about was the reason why I want there to be a repository of knowledge, both that people can be taught from and that can be preserved for people on the other end. See, because there is, you have a repressive government right now, and it's only going to get worse. You have people who want to, control, tax, or regulate, as the underground professor says, every aspect of life. And this isn't just in the United States of America, it's everywhere. And this also runs to information. And the last thing these guys are going to want is for there to be information around about a system where people can actually govern themselves. As governments become more and more, okay, just a moment, please. All right. All right. As governments become more and more repressive with information, that just means that people are going to have to be more and more prepared to save the information that they have about the system that once existed that allowed them to express personal power, personal economic power, personal power through communications, personal religious freedom, all of that. But it's the personal power idea that I feel is being more and more repressed. Now, Smokey brought up a very interesting point. You know, you had a lawyer running for public office who says that democracies have to be just done away with. Now, democracies aren't as good as republics when it comes to individual personal power, but they're a darn sight better than other forms of government. However, if you have people who want to be a part of the ruling class, they're going to want to move this further and further towards a model that is more totalitarian. We're talking about monarchy here. We're talking about kleptocracy, which you can have one of those in many forms of government, or other things which allow for certain families, certain party members, certain adherents, certain people who have enough influence, either through money or through force, to be the few at the top who make all the decisions. Now, as normally happens with that, when people get in that position, the last thing they want to do is lose that position. And I direct you to what happened. A moment. I direct you to what happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. All right. Almost immediately, the old hardline Communist Party members began weaseling around the new Russian Federation government. Although before that it was called the Commonwealth of Independent States. Not very many people remember that. But when you've been in power for 70 years, you don't just give that up immediately. And what do we have today as a result? Because these people began trying to influence things more and more and more. And what had started with Uncle Boris Yeltsin and a free and open Russia has more or less now turned pretty much into the Soviet Union. It's just a free market version of the Soviet Union. And that is because all of those old farts wanted to stay in power because power is good. Power means money. Power means privilege. Power means sex. Power means the ability to do things to other people just because or whatever. No one wants to lose that position. So in Russia today, you see many people who were either part of the old Soviet government or who were heavily influenced by it, as Vladimir Putin was. It's been said about Vladimir Putin that if he were American, he'd be all about mom and apple pie and all of that. He probably, if he were American, he would probably be a Reaganite. This is a man who believed deeply in the concept of the Soviet Union. He believed that it was good and right and noble, even though it was none of those things. Because the individual in the Soviet Union had practically zero power. It was all invested in the party members and the party chiefs. And as people know who have studied the Cold War era, the Soviets were not very happy about any information coming in from advocates of any other form of government. They suppressed it brutally in many cases because they did not want that idea. They didn't want the idea of personal power to be brought to the people. Because once an idea like that starts, people begin thinking about how to implement that idea. And if you're part of the ruling class, whether you call yourself a king or a premier, you are the threat to that. And that idea is a threat to you and your cushy lifestyle. Now, bearing all that in mind, 2 years ago, in fact, more than 2 years ago, I went ahead with writing American Sputnik and with doing my show, The Way Back. Because while Kurt Schlichter did come out with the conservative insurgency before I wrote American Sputnik, I had been thinking along these lines for years before. Because when you have a system like the United States of America, the only way to get rid of it, because people love personal liberty, the only way to get rid of it is to do it gradually. And I saw this coming early. I saw this coming in the 1980s. One of the first places I saw it coming was in the smoking bans. Oh, it's about safety. It's about secondhand smoke. And actually, even before that, I saw it coming with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Oh, we have to stop people from driving on the roads because drunk, because it causes accidents. Now, of course, I'm not for people being killed in accidents and for people driving drunk. That's just stupid. But what worried me more than anything about that was seeing how quickly this legislation clamped down and then the results. Okay, the sobriety checkpoints, that to me was a huge red flag, because at that moment, drivers were presumed to be guilty, and they had to prove their innocence. It was unconstitutional, and the people did not step on that like a bug, as they should have, because the minute anyone said anything, someone else would come back and say, well, we don't want people driving drunk now, do we? Not thinking about the fact that there could possibly be alternatives. That was the beginning. And then there were the smoking bans. Oh, secondhand smoke kills people. Yeah, we've got scientists that say so. Scientists who happen to be paid by universities, which are mostly supported by the government. Yeah. So we had to ban smoking from a lot of these places. And we have to start controlling behavior, because this behavior is bad. Oh, yeah, we know you like this behavior. We know you like to go out to a bar and have a drink once in a while and a cigarette. But this is for your own good. Because we know better than you. Now, things like that were huge red flags to me. I saw these things going on in the land of the free. And I realized we were in deep trouble. And this stuff was going on, this stuff began in the Reagan administration. Ronald Reagan, the best president, in my opinion, of my lifetime. And that was when I began having the idea that we could be headed down a dark, dark path. And as the years went on, it got worse and worse and worse. Now it's to the point, as the professor says, now it's at a point where there is nothing that government does not tax, control, or regulate. They want to control everything and everyone from cradle to grave, and they're getting there. They're getting there. Kids cannot go out and play by themselves anymore without having an adult overseer. Well, this is just for their safety. Never mind that generations of kids grew up perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, and they would go out and just play. And the overseers would be the other kids, the older brothers, the older sisters, people like that. And once in a while, neighborhood parents would kind of peek around and, just make sure they weren't sawing each other in half. Or something like the government had no need to be involved. Older kids in school. Schools have become indoctrination centers, and this starts in preschool and it ends in college. If you decide to go for a PhD, they've got you for at least 25 years. You're in that mill, and you come out the other end. If they're successful from their viewpoint, you come out the other end a socialist. You also come out from that other end more than prepared to repress anyone who doesn't agree with you. If Congressman Tancredo comes to your university and wants to give a speech on immigration, you shout it down. You tell reporters, oh, yeah, well, I'm for free speech, but not from him. You learn to be a controller of everyone and everything. And the other thing you learn to control is information. And that is why 2 years ago, I put together the Way Back. And I said what needs to be done, and this is covered in part 2 of the Way Back, is that there have to be created freedom boxes or liberty boxes. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Put in there materials that pointed the way to personal liberty. In this part 2, I believe I mentioned the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville. There are many others, and I do mention some more of those in part 3, which will conclude the series. And also things like Lord of the Rings, which teaches some good moral lessons. Fahrenheit 451, another book that teaches a pretty good lesson about information and then the dissemination and repression of information. The Road to Serfdom, I believe, is another one that I selected in this part. There are many good selections that can be made and put into these. Now, hold on a moment. Do not just take these and bury them in the backyard. Okay? Now, am I saying that you should save some of these for as preservation for a possible future time of repression? As I've been speaking about, yes. But get more than one copy of everything. Because what you do with the other copy is you teach. Teach the young. Teach the young the ideas and ideals of personal liberty. And teach them personal ethics and personal morals. And no, I'm not thumping the Bible here for any of you atheists or agnostics out there. Okay? I do have, I am a Christian, but other than that, my religious beliefs are none of your damn business. But ethics and morals are everybody's business. And that is something that needs to be taught. When one kid is beating the snot out of another kid in school, there shouldn't be a half circle of kids standing around of them and one of them getting it on their phone for YouTube and nobody doing anything about it. That's a little story that I'll be talking about in future weeks on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. A scene like that shouldn't even happen. Someone should step in and stop it. If the schools are too lame to do that, and hiding behind some sort of zero tolerance, no bullying policy, one of the kids should step in and knock the attacker down with one punch. That should just happen. That's one of the things that has to be taught, but history has to be taught as well. Right now, kids aren't even being taught about World War I or World War II. They're not being taught about the struggle against communism. They're not being taught what Che Guevara really did. They're not being taught about how Fidel Castro prosecuted his revolution in Cuba. What I'm saying is we have to save this information for a future generation so they know what to do on the other end when the totalitarians are finally lined up against a wall. But we also have to teach our kids in the meantime with copies of these same materials what to do and what not to do. And I'll point out something else that the Prof said last week. Teach them history. The history of the West, of the progression towards personal liberty, the good and the bad. We have to teach what to do. And we have to teach what not to do. We have to teach how we got to the peak of the American civilization from its beginnings, its forerunner, the Roman Republic. And we have to teach why the American Republic slid into a dictatorship. Those future generations and the ones in between us and that future generation are going to have to know how these happened. They're going to have to know about the nobility and the infamy. And we can't be afraid to teach them the truth. Because I'll tell you this, the other side is not going to be teaching them the truth. The other side is going to be propagandizing them. Rah, 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 the People's Republic all the way. And if you don't believe me, take a listen sometime to some old Radio Moscow broadcast or anything out of North Korea or anything of that nature. They go on and on and on about the glorious People's Revolution. We don't have much time left, guys, but I will tell you this. I've studied systems of government, all of them. And in my opinion, the one that offers the most personal liberty, that's you and me having the most power in our hands, is the constitutionally federated Republic of the United States of America. I have said in part 2 of the Way Back, we have to preserve the knowledge of that and its forebearers, from the Roman Republic to the Magna Carta to the English writings, the writings of the Rights of Englishmen in the 17th century on, and save them because they're precious. Because our future generations are precious. We can leave them a legacy of freedom, a legacy of truth. And we can let them know that whatever happens between now and then, whatever horrors those who are in control bring to us, there will come a day when good and right and love come on the stage again. We will find the way back. I want to thank the Underground Professor for allowing me to come on and do this. Hopefully next week you guys will hear me talking with the Underground Professor about the conclusion of the Way Back, Part 3. That will come out on Saturday the 2nd, I believe, of October. Until then, thank you very much for listening to me, and thank you again to the Underground Professor. God love, God bless, and good night.
Bomb 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 dang 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 ding it on ding blue moon blue moon dip 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 moon moon blue moon dip 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 moon blue moon dip 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 bomb 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 dang 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 ding it on blue moon.
You saw me standing alone without a dream in my heart.
Dang 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 ding it on
blue moon. You knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms would ever. Somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I look, the moon is there to go. Oh, blue moon. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.
Dang 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 ding it on ding blue. Dang 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 ding it on ding blue. Bomb 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 dang 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 ding dong ding blue.